Hi, I'm Eric Wheeler. I'm here to talk about big data and the social graph. In actuality, I'm going to change the topic. I'm actually going to talk about the Dewey Decimal System. You'll actually be pretty amazed to see how related the Dewey Decimal System is to the current state of our technology and infrastructure related to big data and the social graph, and how effective it is and how ineffective it may be. So the Dewey Decimal System was created in 1876 by Melville Dewey. It's a pretty amazing system. It's a numerical system that's used to classify was designed to classify all the world's information. All that information in 10 categories, 10 subcategories, and 1,000 categories underneath that. An amazing system to rank and score all the world's information. Great way to stack books and to find those references. A really amazing technology. However, here's the rub. If you're looking for a book, if you're not sure what you want, if you want to discover a new book, it doesn't work so well. Any librarians in the room here? No? Well, the librarian actually was the social filter. The librarian is the one that helped you to understand what book would be good for you. Because the Dewey Decimal System actually didn't help. It told you what the title of the book was, but it didn't tell you where to go. And that's part of the problem with most companies' technology infrastructure today. Their processes, their systems. Right? It's a outdated technology, process-driven structure that is not designed for the world of big data, not designed for the world of the social graph. So when I talk about big data, what am I talking about? Big data is commonly referred to as a technology infrastructure and a database capability that far exceeds current databases. Current databases are kind of crumble underneath big data structures. They can't process, they can't score, they can't segment. Big data is defined by petabytes often. That's a 1 followed by 15 zeros. So just to give you an idea, how big is a petabyte? Does anyone know? Well, let's go through some examples. Is it 42.5 million pulp trees? Maybe. Is it 5 billion pounds of paper? Is it 5,500 years that it would take to download a petabyte at 56K? Remember those days? Or is it 12,000 football fields filled with 4 drawer cabinets of paper? Well, the truth is, it's actually all of them. So let's look at the example. Let's look at this one with football field. So to give an idea how big this is, you're starting to see this unfold. This is 4,096 football fields. So multiply it by 3, and you start to get an idea how big a petabyte is. Now the crazy part is data is increasing at an incredible rate. In the past 3 years, there was more data created than the preceding 100 years. This is an incredible volume of data driven by IP addresses, all the devices we have, email, all the different things going on. I think it's McKinsey who actually had some of this data. We're talking about a growth rate that's 40% a year. It's incredible, just in big data by itself. We're talking about 1.5 million jobs that are going to be created by 2017 around big data. This is an amazing engine. It's a $50 billion industry. But what's driving the growth in big data is actually social. Take everything I just talked about and multiply it by everyone in the world. That's the power of social and what social is doing for big data and how fast it's moving. So we think about social and we think about what's going on. We know that there's an incredible amount of things being shared, 30 billion pieces of content shared, 250 million tweets. Right? This is unbelievable from a scale standpoint. But here's where the opportunity comes. So the rate of data is growing faster and faster every day, fueled by social. But what we see in the industry right now is a rate of innovation that nowhere near matches this. This is part of the challenge. And for the entrepreneurs in the room, that's the opportunity. Yeah, all right. That's what we're focused on. And for the large companies, the big companies in the room, what's going on? Why are we not innovating fast enough? I think it's 2 reasons. There's 2 reasons why companies aren't innovating. One is technology. So take a look. These are Facebook servers. Amazing technology, amazing servers that have been built for Facebook, by Facebook. Unbelievable infrastructure, speed, processing, sparing no expense. Why? Because the technology doesn't exist, they had to build it, just like Google has. The problem is, most companies, their technology infrastructure looks like this. The equivalent of a library file card system. And the databases and the software they have are linear. They're not structured. Hadoop is nowhere near it. So what it means is, today's infrastructure is nowhere near ready to take on big data. And the problem is that they've invested millions, billions of dollars in technology infrastructure 3 years ago, 2 years ago, that, by the way, is obsolete. And the challenge is, they know it. So the second issue that's holding back innovation is actually the rate in which innovations are commercialized. So this is Apple's stock ticker, corresponding with all the different Apple innovations. Now listen, I know. Nobody disses on Steve. I get it. Rest in peace. But do we really need an iPad 3? Really? I bet you, I am confident that in Cupertino there are innovations inside of Apple right now that would blow away an iPad 3. Blow it away. Well, what's the problem? They need to commercialize it. And that slows down the pace of innovation. So put all that aside, just stop for a second. Okay, that's going to happen. But the great part is there's still innovations happening in social right now that change the way in which we experience the world. And part of the reason is the way we're wired. It's our brains. We're social creatures. We all know the most powerful computer in the world. We know that. How our brains make decisions, we focus our energy on solving new problems. The neurons are really focused on solving new problems. In fact, it was Duke University just did a study that showed that almost 50% of the decisions we make every day are automatic. Right? That means what we eat, what we wear, what we buy, automatic. I'm not just talking about what you put on your toothpaste, and your toothbrush, and your toothpaste. Far more bigger decisions are automatic. It's called chunking. And what our brain does is it breaks it down into small compartments, right? Processes that get chunked down. So our neurons actually go to familiar paths. So what's really interesting is that what's familiar, that breeds preference. And it's not just, we've talked about birds of a feather flocking together and things like that, but it's actually at a neurological level that if our brains see something, we have more preference toward it. So let me give you an example. Sorority sisters in the room? Anybody? Down in front? Yeah. Crickets. Sweet. I love you, man. This is actually not, it's a social phenomenon. It's an incredible experience in college. It's incredible. You can see the rebel down there in the green shoes and the bangle. You get it. But the bigger issue is, why does this happen? It isn't just that it's a human behavior. It actually feels better. It's actually something that's part of who we are as humans. So I was in a fraternity. Not a lot of guys know that. We're a pretty tough group. Mostly, not a lot of parties so much. Not a lot of, not really good in sports, but we killed it in chess. We killed it. Unbelievable. So joking aside, this goes way past just understanding behaviors and interests and habits. It goes down into purchases. Part of what we're understanding and the social graph and what we're able to see is actually the behaviors that drive purchases. Right? And people are predisposed because of their graph and their relationships to make similar purchases. So when I think about what's next, it's actually right now. The innovations that are going on right now on the social graph and big data, that's driving the next 10, the next 20 years of innovation in our category. That's what's happening. It's using the social graph to drive innovation and drive real result. I'll give you an example, what we do at 33 Across. I'll share with you how we're able to work with leading brands and actually understand the graph around a brand and drive real-time value for that brand and for that user. And I'll do that with a very relevant example, pizza. Who would know that there's an unbelievably high correlation between pizza and luxury hotels? There is. People who buy pizza also stay in luxury hotels. An unbelievably high correlation, at least in the past 60 days that we've tracked. Why is it? Well, maybe because you're tired. Maybe because you're homesick. Maybe you just want something familiar. Right? But this is what we're able to drive. This is called what we call a brand graph. And in real time, we're mapping all of the interests, purchases, shares on an anonymous basis around 400 leading brands. And we're making it actionable for those advertisers. Actionable to understand. This changes every day. We're giving them a dashboard to understand what are the current interests and behaviors of the people who are purchasing, the people who are brand loyalists, and predicting the people who are likely to be brand loyalists next. So, in summary, when I think about the social graph and I think about innovations, the next level of innovation I really don't think is going to come from, it's not going to come from a single innovation like the automobile. It's not going to be one single one. It's actually going to be made up of a stitched together of a fabric of trillions and trillions of experiences. The things we see, the things we share, the things we like, the things we read are all being woven together into a social fabric of our lives in a way in which we think, if we do it right, is going to be more relevant, more personal, and ultimately, it's going to be